I still haven't given up on the idea of XCN hypothetically and maybe going to the price of $1 during this bull run. And even though nothing I say is financial advice, why do I think so? It's because I think that the Onyx protocol is still very amazing. Yeah, sure, the price of XCN is going down, but a lot of altcoins, they're going down in price. Not to mention as well, of course, XCN at one point had a very good pump and then it had a dump. But the way I view it is that better days are ahead because the price of XCN going down isn't necessarily tied to its fundamentals. Because if we take a look at Onyx, fundamentally speaking, I think if anything, it's getting better because we take a look at Onyx, right? Has a little bit of an aspect of AI, which I talked about actually about that news, not too long ago in one of my previous videos about Onyx. Not to mention as well, Onyx, at least to me, it feels like they still have the same motivation to do great things when it comes to Goliath, which is allegedly going to be this very amazing layer one blockchain for the world of finance. We'll have to wait and see though, but it feels like that targeted mainnet launch of Q1 of 2026, so next year, it feels like it's still in the works. So I feel like the project hasn't given up. Sure, the price hasn't been doing the best, but when it comes to Onyx, it just doesn't feel like a project that's going to disappear, at least in my opinion. Could the price hypothetically go lower? Sure, because we just never know. But my strategy is still going to stay the same. That's dollar cost averaging. Just anytime I acquire income, I acquire my favorite projects, hold, and I just wait. Literally, that's it. Because when it comes to something like Ripple and Stellar, when we take a look at those projects, it's not like they have the most attention as of right now either, right? The altcoin space, generally speaking, isn't necessarily doing the best. So the way I view it is that, yeah, sure, when it comes to something like XCN, the price may not be doing good whatsoever, but still, it's not the only one doing that. And not to mention, some people like to ask me, oh, why are you bullish on XCN as of right now? If let's say the price is going down. Well, keep in mind, when I first started acquiring XCN, the price wasn't this high actually, it was way lower. I mean, just take a look at my earlier videos when it comes to XCN. Then of course it had a pump. I didn't sell anything, and then of course now the price isn't doing the best. But I'm not giving up because if I was bullish on XCN back then when the price was way lower than right now even, why wouldn't I be bullish on it right now? That's the way you take a look at it. Because of course it is, higher in price than when I first started acquiring it. So again, why would I give up on XCN just like that? It makes no sense. And if anything, I understand that I cannot control the markets at all, right? So then the only thing I can control is myself. And that's just by having conviction and dedication for the projects that I do believe in. And whatever happens to the price of XCN, it's just, for me, right? Again, dollar cost averaging on a routine basis. Because when I take a look at Onyx, they're pretty much focused on the same markets as Ripple and Stellar. And we have to take a look at those two markets, right? Global trade and finance and the payments market. The payments market is already valued at over $2 trillion currently, and the global trade and finance market is predicted to reach up to $5 trillion in value by 2028, according to Mordor Intelligence. So when I take a look at something like that, I mean, this is like a no-brainer for me, really. And if someone is saying, oh, the hype for XCN is gone, are they also saying that the hype for something like XLM, for instance, is going to be gone too? Because I don't hear many people saying that, right? So then the way you take a look at it is that as long as the market leaders like Ripple and Stellar are going to be around, which I do believe hypothetically they will, I think something like Onyx, just by kind of being somewhat similar to them, I think will go along with the ride. Because it's like, for instance, we take a look at something like Shiba Inu, right? Something like Dogecoin. As long as they're, having a bright future, I think something like Pepe and also something like Floki and also a bunch of good meme coins, I think hypothetically, they're going to also kind of tag along. So I don't think this is something that I want to give up on, especially as of right now. When it comes to my portfolio, a lot of things are going down as of right now. People like to say that, oh, this time around, there's going to be no altcoin season, all this type of stuff. I just kind of have a hard time believing that because according to Crypto.com research, we have over 600 million crypto owners currently, which is more than ever before in history. And keep in mind, we have this many crypto owners without ever seeing Bitcoin reach 150 grand, 200 or 300 grand, right? We haven't seen that yet, and we still already have over 500 million crypto owners. So what would the crypto owners be like if, let's say, the market conditions were a lot better? Now, only time will tell. However, if someone told me, hey, at that point, there's around 700 or 800 million crypto owners, that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Because if we have this much as of right now, imagine if, let's say, the market conditions again were a lot better. However, only time will tell. But in my opinion, maybe we might not even have to wait that much longer in theory, because, all the stuff that I've been through ever since, entering the world of cryptocurrencies, like for instance, the Terra Luna crash, the nonsense that happened with FTX, the Celsius, of course, news as well. When I take a look at all that type of stuff, right, and also the bear market and whatnot that happened, after the 2021 bull run, I feel like in hindsight, it always kind of felt like it wasn't a big deal. It always kind of felt like that. So I think what's going on as of right now, maybe 6 months, a year down the line, will I care about it really? I just kind of feel like maybe, oh yeah, that was the past, And we've made it through those times in the world of cryptocurrencies, of course. So it just kind of feels like that, short-term FUD and all this type of, kind of speculation that, oh, altcoins are going to do bad forever. I've seen many stories like that. I've seen many instances like that, and the space has always made it through. So then, would it be different this time around? We just never know because I can't tell the future, but I don't see why it would be any different because, again, take a look at, for instance, something like Bitcoin, right? Been through multiple bear markets, but it's always made its way kind of back to what people would consider good. However, of course, when it comes to XCN, it doesn't have that proven track record of Bitcoin. But then the way you take a look at it is that, again, XCN has pretty much kind of solidified itself as being a very solid alternative to something like XRP and XLM. Because if this has kind of solidified itself as a solid alternative to the market leaders, I think if they do go along with the ride, if the altcoin season does happen, I think this won't be forgotten about. And keep in mind, people are acting like XCN is like, down forever and all this type of stuff. The market cap is still in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's not a small project by any means, despite the pullback, But that's a testament as to how much XCN has actually grown when compared to back then, even though, of course, it's not like one of the largest projects of all time, but it's still pretty decent in my opinion. And historically speaking, altcoins usually, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event, and the last Bitcoin halving event happened in April of last year. So we had 18 months on top of that. That's around October this year. That's not a guaranteed date by any means, but if, let's say, altcoins do peak near the end of this year, I don't see why not. I think there are so many bullish factors like the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, the number of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption, and also the amount of crypto owners, which I talked about not too long ago in this video. But then again, this is all speculation. Could altcoins peak near the end of this year? I don't see why not really, but if, let's say, it doesn't happen then, let's say it happens maybe early next year, whatever the case may be, I'm still going to stay patient because I'm waiting anyways. I believe in XCN to begin with, and I'm not going to give up on it as of right now. But again, could history be different this time around? Maybe. But if, let's say, it does peak near the end of this year, that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. But $1, I don't think it's even that crazy to begin with, because if it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around $33.5 billion, which is around a 67x from here. I get it. It's kind of like a tall order, people may be thinking. Quite a while back ago, they thought this was a little bit bearish, actually. But it goes to show how the sentiments can change kind of quickly if the price isn't doing good. But I haven't forgotten about those times. So I still have the same mindset. And we got to think about how even XRP, as of right now, already has a market cap of over $100 billion. And I think that we can all pretty much agree that the altcoin space isn't necessarily doing the best as of right now. So just imagine that. If, let's say, XRP does a lot better during a fully fledged bull run, and it already has a market cap of over $100 billion right now, would around $33.5 billion be too much to ask for, especially for a project that's pretty much kind of like very similar to it and already has a pretty good, exposure in terms of exchange listings, and the community is fantastic? I just don't see why not. But again, that's no guarantee. But $1 wouldn't surprise me whatsoever during this bull run. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm a peace. Bye.